Well, if I have an opportunity, I can say everything I want to say in 30 seconds. I mean, I have a 30-second speech, I've got a 1-minute speech, I've got a 2-minute speech, I've got a 5-minute speech. And I don't just have one 30-second speech, I've got a dozen of them. So whenever a situation presents itself, when I see an opportunity to say something, I'm usually prepared to do that in whatever time frame I've got to whatever audience is in front of me. And I would recommend that everybody prepare things like that. I mean, not word for word, but if you've got 30 seconds and you need to make a point, know what point you want to make.
Okay, then let's hear your 1-minute speech then.
Yeah, no, I can do that. But again, I don't have them written out in that sense. It's not something that I do just to hear myself talk. But like I say, when I'm presented with an opportunity to say it, I can say it quickly. I can say basically that humans are identified with the voice in their head. They think that's who they are. And that is a form of insanity. The voice in your head is your language machine. It's not you. It's not who you are. And you shouldn't believe everything you hear it say. End of speech.
See, now that's why I just recorded that. That was beautiful.
Thank you. That voice in your head, to the extent that, like you were saying before, you get in there and would go to mush because the voice in your head is going crazy. Once you begin to disidentify from that voice in your head can go crazy as it wants to be, and it doesn't make any difference to you. It's just the voice in your head going crazy, your language machine. And
so you can ignore it.
Yeah, well, you can ignore it. You listen to it, see if it makes any sense, whether it's helpful or getting in the way. But the thing is, you're not identified with. The problem with most people, like I said, is most language monkeys are totally identified with that voice in their head, and that voice in their head runs their life. Whatever it says, obey it, because they think it's who they are. But once you've broken that and you realize it's just your language machine and it's badly programmed, that you're brain damaged like the rest of us, and you have a little sympathy for yourself and you realize, okay, well, I'm brain damaged. There's my language machine ranting on about some bullshit that doesn't help at all. Yeah, and you have a whole different relationship with that voice.
Yeah, I think I am due for a cerebral eminer.
Yeah. And this is a relatively simple one. It doesn't take very much thought to recognize that the voice in your head is not something that you're controlling. It's something that has a life of its own.
Minutes, but this is interesting. Please continue enlightening me.
Well, it's just very simple. It's a machine. I mean, it's made out of hamburger, neurons and glial cells and supporting tissue, and it's spread throughout your whole body, too. It's not just in your brain. Your language machine, its job is to take your sense data and make a story out of it. And it does it in English, in your case and mine. And from the time you were born, you had English literally uploaded into your tender young nervous system, and then through the vehicle of English, you have built the story of your life. What's important, what's not important, when you can do, what you can't do, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. What's good, what's bad, blah, 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 on and on and on. And we finally build up this whole story, and we become literally identified with that voice. And we say stuff like, I said this, or I thought that. But really, it's just your language machine. And it's badly programmed because English has got some serious problems that anybody who thinks in English buys into a set of assumptions that are just plain wrong. And
so are you saying that you think in gendo?
No, I think in English, but I've reprogrammed my language machine. It's not nearly as stupid and unconscious as it used to be. I think of myself as being in language rehab, and I assume that I will probably be in rehab for the rest of my life. I've made significant progress, but I still encounter my own language machine coming up with stupid, unproductive bullshit every day. But the thing is, I'm not attached to it anymore. I usually can catch it. I usually see, oh boy, that was bullshit. What a dumb way to think about that. Because that's not me. That voice in my head, although I get sucked into that and believing it once in a while, but usually not for long. Yeah, it's a process that...
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, you got it.
Holy shit, I've never ever considered it like that. So
well, most people haven't. Like I say, it's a simple idea, but it's a radical... Well, I got... Yeah.
So you can just completely, I don't know, it's like a network of computers and you can just block that computer there off. You just hook up a
Well, I
firewall
don't know
and
if
say,
well, that's not the way it works for me. It's just that it goes on. It's sort of like watching the clouds go by in the sky. They're there. I can't really control the clouds. They just go by. There's one, there's another one, and then that one's gone, and there's another cloud there. Sometimes there's no clouds. Sometimes it's raining. But it's not me. It's just what's going on. And my language machine is always generating, it's always talking like it is right now. Even if you weren't here, it would be cycling through a bunch of shit inside my head with nothing coming out of my mouth. But again, I'm not
so it's
really...
it's an unstoppable function that you can't control, but you don't have to associate with it, so therefore it doesn't affect you as much.
Yes, and you can begin to get, like I say, you literally can reprogram it. It operates according to its programming. And it's been programmed in sort of standard English in your particular version, in your family and your culture that you grew up with. And each one is slightly unique, but they're all English and all more or less the same. And you can, that's what the 5 stupidities are, is that you can begin, once you identify the 5 stupidities, you can begin to reprogram your own language to either eliminate them, or at least when they come out of your mouth or someone else's mouth, you can begin to notice it instead of getting swept up in it. And again, it really basically amounts to breaking this identification with the voice. And like I say, most people think the voice in their head is who they are. They think they're doing it. And they believe everything they hear it say because they said it, so they must believe it. And once you break that, everything changes.
That is a wicked concept.
It is indeed. I think it's a concept that actually can change history, because really this has been going on for thousands and thousands of years, for tens of thousands of years. Basically, language monkeys, human beings, have been under the spell. It's like a form of hypnosis. It's sort of like people live in a linguistically induced hypnotic trance. And this has been the standard mode of consciousness on this planet for tens of thousands of years. And right now, we are beginning to wake up from the trance. And I expect that this is going to happen rapidly. I think this is all part of what it's going to take to transform the planet, is we need people in large numbers all over the planet to wake up from the trance. I mean, people who are killing each other, going to war, murdering their neighbors, beating up wives, they're all under the spell of the voice in their head. And until they wake up from that, they're going to continue doing that kind of stupid shit. The technical details of it, as far as I'm concerned, are irrelevant. The real job is waking up people from the trance. Once you have a significant percentage of the human population awake, we can do anything we want to do. We've got the technology to create paradise here. The only thing preventing us is not the technology, it's our own insanity. And if we could make a significant change in that, then it wouldn't take us long at all to clean up the mess we've made. Well, I mean, we still have a big mess to clean up, but the major thing is this change of mind that needs to take place. And that could happen quickly. I mean, what I just said to you, it's clear you got it. It's real simple. Now, working out the details of it can take a few months maybe, and it's not perfect. Life won't be perfect now, now that you had this little insight.
Yeah,
there is some work.
Feels like a logical form of meditation.
Well, it's not unrelated to that. My background has been heavily involved in meditation. That's part of how I came to this. I don't usually use the word meditation anymore, but I mean, one of the things that happens to you if you're a meditator is that you get a lot of time to actually listen to the language machine. And what happens in many meditators is they begin to disidentify from it because they're trying to stop it, and they realize they can't stop it, and so the language machine becomes something other to them. And although they don't usually think of it in those terms, that's part of what meditation was good for in my case.
You're amazing, Heron. You're amazing.
Well, I've been working at this stuff for a long time. You could say I'm crazy.